recording. Do you want to start over?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because so far I haven't gotten to the questions that were my personal questions. This is all stuff that was mandated for the class. So,
Okay. Well, I'll be more succinct.
okay. What was your training like? What was the field like then, and how is that different from now?
The field was pretty much oral transmission, hands-on, and hearing the teachers talk. We had very few opportunities to watch videos. There was no YouTube. We did not have teacher trainings or anything like that. We just attended class, worked with our teachers, got sent off to work with somebody else. They showed us how they wanted it done. We walked off and helped, and that was pretty much the whole story. We didn't have many translated books at that point, so it really was just up to what we heard and could remember, and we didn't just spend a lot of time taking notes, so we had to really, while you're in that state of doing Tai Chi, it just starts to get into your head a little differently, and you remember it, and it was really just memorizing and mimicking what the teacher was doing. There really wasn't anything else. So of course today there's more, there's YouTube, there's lots of books, and lots of opportunities to work with people. That's how it's changed.
Okay. How do you or did you come to terms with this as a spiritual practice and now being the operators of the school, the need to make money from it to keep the school going?
I don't think the spiritual practice part got in the way of the money. I think we're just tremendously lucky that the school already existed, and we're able to kind of pick it up from there, and as long as we give students what they're looking for, they keep coming back and they pay us. And it's not really a conflict of spiritual development versus money. Not everybody wants a spiritual practice, and they might just come here for just nice exercise, and so we have to make sure that they get what they want so that they come back. But that's about it.
Okay. How do you keep the transmission, the teachings true, especially having had more than one teacher within the discipline?
I try to really learn what the teacher has to offer in totality. They're the gestalt of what they teach, so that I understand any little details that they put out. I can follow not just the details, but the reasoning behind the details, so that I can understand what's going on and not confuse everything into a big mishmash of this teacher, pick this from this teacher, this from this teacher, this from this teacher. Then I'll have kind of a smattering of this and that. I want to have a full understanding of what they're teaching, and then I can keep the different details straight, and I can always go back to the oral teachings, the written down oral teachings, the books. There are certain immutable rules of Tai Chi, principles, and if it doesn't follow those principles, then it's not Tai Chi, and I'm losing the integrity. As long as I can keep the integrity of the principles, I'm not so worried about all the different inputs. I think of it as a bunch of puzzle pieces. Tai Chi is a big puzzle, and I don't have all the parts, so I go to the different teachers, and they each give me different pieces of the puzzle, and it's up to me to figure out, oh yeah, this part goes with the trees, and that part goes in the water, and then I just put it together and create my own thing from that.
Okay. How has your practice helped you in real life?
It has helped me physically get my body in better shape. Not like I'm a body person, but using the body, not like check out this shape, but using the body, being able to use the body, being comfortable in the body, not having chronic ailments that come from my body being disordered, having the confidence to stand on my own 2 feet, to believe that what I'm putting forth is of value, in Tai Chi or not. Just, in the workplace, I would be very withdrawn and not wanting to rock the boat, and partly it was because I didn't have the confidence in what I was doing, and with Tai Chi it helped me have the confidence to say, this is, this is worth demanding, this is worth asking for. So there's a lot of just personal confidence is the word I just keep coming up with. There's the focus, being able to focus on something after practicing Tai Chi for so long, much more able to look at something and something new that I don't know and be able to focus my awareness there so that I can learn it. That quieting the mind, being able to really work with whatever's at hand, being able to respond to people with a more genuine reaction from me. So rather than getting caught on the emotional tenor of what's happening, I can put my mind in my dantian, I can feel my head top, feel my feet, and be present, physically present, so that I can hear what they're saying better than if I'm a little scattered in my own body and mind. Then I'm not as easy to focus on what is going on in front of me and respond. My emotions get caught on their emotions. Now we're having this emotional response that isn't really necessarily helpful to the situation at hand. And if I can just stay centered and rooted, then I don't get caught on them having emotional reactions, and we can stay focused on the issue that we're really trying to deal with. So that's some of the many ways Tai Chi has helped.
The many ways. How does your personal practice influence and relate to your teaching practice?
Interesting question. I have discovered that I need to keep my teaching form separate from my personal practice form, because the things that you do to convey something, say, to a beginner, like we were doing in form class today, doing the beginner form and then doing the master form, and it is different. And so it would be very easy to create a teaching form that never evolves into something more authentic, because I spend all my time teaching, and so that becomes my form. So I need to make sure that my form practice is always evolving and getting deeper and finding new pathways and all that, so that it's more connected and fluid and all that. When I have to stop it and make places for the students, here, go here, go here, go here, it changes the rhythm of the form and it changes how I do it. And it's not the best. I won't keep evolving if all I ever do is my teaching form. I have to keep my form alive and evolving, even as I have my approach to this is how I teach it.
I had not thought about it that way.
Yeah, and I could certainly, we could talk later about what's, you going off and teaching and things that you need to keep track
Right.
of, and we can talk about that more.
Yeah. That would be important. What brought you to the practice, and what keeps you here?
Serendipity brought me. It was just, I met Lee. We lived in different towns. We fell in love. He had gone camping with a friend from grad school who had just been diagnosed with MS and had started doing some Tai Chi to try to stave off the ravages of the disease. And Lee was camping with him and saw him doing Tai Chi in the morning and said, oh, that looks pretty cool. And so then he started trying to get into Tai Chi when he lived in Berkeley and went to school, didn't quite, he was only there for a few months. And then he moved here and said, I'm going to find Tai Chi. And he's the one who found Jane and Baton. And I wasn't going to do it because I wanted to let him have something that was his. He was moving to my house and my town and my friends, so I was going to let him have his own thing. And
didn't happen.
the first class was on my birthday, and when he came home, I said, well, so what did you learn? And so he told me, and he said, we're supposed to do this every night and every morning. And I said, oh, well, do you mind if I do it with you? He's like, no, that would be great, because he was going to have to practice it anyway. It would be easier to practice if someone practiced with him. So he actually taught me the first third. He'd go to class, come home, teach it to me, and then we did it together. And so I started the same day he did. It just took me a while before I actually had a teacher. And so I just kind of got weaseled into it just because it was something going on. And what keeps me there is that it's just such an amazing, rich, wonderful practice, and it's done so much for me, health-wise, spiritual-wise, my mental health, my everything in the world is seen through the lens of Tai Chi, and it just focuses me wherever I put my attention, and so that's what keeps me there. Is it's just it's bottomless, it's endless, it's art. It has no limit, and that limitlessness of it and is very enticing.
Okay. What have you done or do you do with someone who doesn't take the practice seriously or degrades it? So either in or out of the classroom.
I'll often just let them be. If they're doing it quietly, I'll figure they're here for something. I don't know what it is, what they're getting out of this, but they're here. That's fine. If they start making trouble, then it's try to suck them into being with the group so that they don't become a problem that's pulling everything away from the work that we're doing, because that's often the biggest problem. You never know what's going on with somebody, and if they're degrading the practice while they're in the middle of it, you have to say, well, what are they doing this for? I mean, the answer might be just to get credit from school, and if that's the answer, then they're just going to have to settle that themselves. But if they're distracting the other students, then that's a problem. And I try not to let it go where they're trying to take it. And if they're busy putting it down or arguing with me or whatever, it's, pretty, if it need be, it just becomes, I'm the teacher, this is what we're doing, we're moving on. You don't like it, you can leave. It doesn't really happen that often, so I haven't got a lot of experience with that. People, by and large, if they're not into Tai Chi, they stop coming.
Fair enough. I'm going to adjust the camera because it's starting to shake because my hand can't stay there for much longer. So.
Yeah, why don't you lean your arm on there or something and see if that can help.
There's the hand more than anything.
So much for tripod.
Yeah, so much for school camcorders.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. How in the past have you, or how would you suggest dealing with projections, mother figure, father figure, romantic idolatry, that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Like, if, projections from students.
Well, on the one hand, it's not my responsibility to live up to or dissuade them of their projections. Their projections are their problem. They're not my problem. If they do become my problem because, say, there's, untoward energy coming, or what tends to happen is, because Tai Chi is such a great practice, people think that they think you're more than you are because you're teaching it.
Right.
And number one, don't believe them. It's very easy to get caught in the, hey, I'm the teacher, I'm better than everybody else, I rock.
The master trap.
Yeah, and so you really have to keep your feet on the ground and be honest about what you can do and what you can't do. And have boundaries. You need to have boundaries for yourself and not let their projections become your self-image. And the work is really the answer. The work is hard, and you do the work and you know where you're falling short. If you just come and say, hey, here I am, I'm great, I'm teaching you this awesome thing, then everybody will say, oh, you're so awesome, and I'll say, yeah, I'm so awesome. But if I do the work, I know that there's so much more for me that I don't believe them when they try and tell me, oh, no, you're awesome. It's like, well, great, cool, but actually, you do the work, I'll do the work, and we'll both discover that there's a lot of work to be done, and it just tends to ground and bring us back to reality, just because it's hard work. And Tai Chi doesn't have a lot of sexualization, particularly for the women. Nobody comes to do Tai Chi because they want to look like me. I think that's a bigger problem in yoga because,
Yeah.
like, look at the clothes I'm wearing, for example. I don't have a great butt that I'm putting in everybody's face. So that kind of energy doesn't come at me. I don't know if we can put this on out into the world, but
going in the interview. It's going on the internet.
that's, that one doesn't come up all that often. I mean,
Right.
it might come more. I mean, I think it's a bigger problem if the teacher's going after the students. It doesn't usually go
the other way.
The other way, really.
This is one specific. Actually, I have a couple of these are kind of specific to. I'm curious, as a woman in a martial art field, how have you in the past, or would you suggest dealing with people not taking you seriously?
Yeah, they definitely. There's a lot of that. There's a ton of it. And sometimes it's the more serious people who don't take me seriously. Sometimes it's the less serious people who just see a woman and don't take me seriously. But number one, I can't take it personally. I can't think that that's a reflection of my practice. And I can't get too hung up on it if I feel that somebody doesn't want, say, feedback from me because they don't value it because I'm a woman. Stop giving it to them. They don't deserve it. If they aren't going to take me seriously, then my teaching, I don't owe them very much. They can come be in the class. I don't care. I'll just kind of leave them to be. I'll ignore them. If I get the feeling that they're interested, then everything changes, and then they stop treating me differently, like they don't respect my input because I'm a woman. I've had skilled teachers just bypass me, not even looking at me because I was a woman and figuring, oh, I'm just here to hang out with Lee and he's the real student. And it hurts. It definitely has some real, it can cut right to the quick, and you just have to shrug it off and suck it up and get back in there. I am not one of those people who out-machos the guys. A lot of women just, embrace their inner macho and just get in there and just do it with them. That's not going to work for me. I'm not that way. I've never been that way. And, every year after 50, I'm less that way. So I have to just be true to myself. And if they can't see the value in what I'm doing, that's their problem, not mine.
Okay. Well, that also answers another question I had about gender discrimination. But how would you suggest dealing with? This is more of a martial arts question. How would you suggest dealing with challenges to your skill, experience, or ability? Whether that takes the form of someone coming in and actively challenging the school and you as the teacher, or whether that's like, oh no, you can't possibly know anything.
Yeah.
So it's kind of related to the previous question.
Well, I don't have to accept any challenge just because somebody comes in here and challenges me. It's my turf. I can choose to play or not. And so if I feel like it's a situation where that is reasonable, I'll dive in there, remembering that in a circumstance like that, it's not about doing the best Tai Chi, it's about actually succeeding and just do what I can. I tend to not get challenges like that if people, by the sheer fact that Lee and I are doing this together, if they're going to come and start challenging, you just don't get your jollies knocking the girl over if there's a guy standing right there who you can knock over instead.
Well, unless you're a girl. Wanting.
Well, even
I don't know.
Yeah, by and large, people are more likely to want to prove something on Lee than they are on me because we're a couple that practice that run the school together.
Right.
If I were running a school all by myself, that would be a different story, and I'm not really sure what I would do or how I would deal with it.
The school camera shit the bed.
The school camera shit the bed.
Yeah.
Well,
We had to start over again.
And so, how far through all this are we?
We are on question 11 out of,
Out of 16.
Well, 15 because one of them overlaps.
Sort of, yeah. So
So
I
there's
think
that.
you could hang out if you want.
There's
So
how would you suggest dealing with competition? And
Um,
I don't mean like competing in the I mean like someone opens up another Tai Chi school in the area.
oh,
Competition
so you mean real competition
in the market, in the field, in
Yeah.
the industry.
We have competition, and I just really don't pay any attention to it. I just figure this is what we're doing. We give the best that we have to give, and are, focused in a certain direction. And we've had classmates go off and start their own schools, and I don't feel like it's that much of a threat to what we're doing, because they're going to do something different, and students will come or not on that basis. So really, kind of the answer to all these questions about being challenged, being a woman, being having competition in the field, really comes down to I just believe in what we're doing and do the best that I can do with what I'm into, and figure the people who are drawn to that will be drawn to that, and people who are drawn to something else, I don't have to be everything to everybody.
Okay. What are your thoughts on bringing other practices or traditions into Tai Chi? Letting them inform the practice and vice versa.
I think it's great. I think it's important to keep it clear that like there's Chinese medicine works with Qi, and Tai Chi works with Qi. You can have your practice informed by an understanding of Chinese medicine, but if you start thinking that what you do in Chinese medicine with the Qi is what you're trying to do in Tai Chi with the Qi, then you'll get all confused. You need to keep the systems separate. Even when they look like there's a good fit and they overlap a lot, you have to keep them separate, because Tai Chi is not Chinese medicine, and it's not Pilates or yoga, or, it's just not any of those other things that you would bring in. It's its own thing. You can get an understanding of the body and how it works from any other discipline and bring that to Tai Chi, but that doesn't change what you need to do Tai Chi. Right. And so let it inform you. I think there's a lot of good stuff that can come from a blending of all that. And I think people can invent their own exercises and practices and stuff on the basis of, well, I'm interested in this, and I've studied this, and I've into that, and I'll just bring it all together and come up with my own thing. But you have to keep that separate from the traditional practice of Tai Chi, which has its own system and doesn't really map onto anything else.
So a clear delineation of like this is my own thing, or this is from this tradition.
Yeah.
And this is Tai Chi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to eliminate this question because it doesn't seem terribly useful. But here's one for you. Where do you see Tai Chi going in the future? Where would you like it to go?
I think it's going to start informing a lot of other practices and physical experiences, whether it's sports or martial arts or dance. Also out of the physical and into the somatic and, the psychosomatic aspect of it, not just the body, but the body and the mind. There's a lot of therapy that I think could benefit from some Tai Chi practice. I don't know that you could just take like women who've been abused and teach them push hands and then they'll all become strong. But I think the teacher could learn from push hands the things that lead to vulnerability and running away and where people want to hide, and they can use that information to work with their clients, for example. And I think that would be great. I think there's a lot of inner power that comes from the practice after you've done it long enough to start having some success with it, that can be really beneficial to people who are in pain, either physical or psychological or combination of both. And I'd love to see that get more widely used and acknowledged. But I think that's different from, everybody should just do Tai Chi and then the world would be a better place. I mean, sure, I don't disbelieve that, but it's not for everybody. And working through things with people who have issues is delicate. And so you need to really be trained in all of that. But I think it could be a great any kind of wellness efforts, therapy efforts. I don't really know about bringing Tai Chi into other martial arts because I haven't had that experience, so I don't know how much usefulness there is there, but there could be.
It's great.
So I think using Tai Chi ideas, principles, practices to inform any number of other things is will really open up the art, I think.
Okay. Last question. If you had to consolidate the essence of Tai Chi from everything you have ever discovered or been taught into a single word or phrase, what would it be?
Well, the one that I keep trying to drop it and see if something else comes, and the one that keeps coming back is awareness. That you want to be aware of yourself, what's happening inside, what you're really feeling, not just what you think you ought to be feeling, what's coming at you from the other person, what's yours, what's theirs, what's in the world around you, just a fully embodied awareness.
Alrighty then. That is the end of the interview.